On December 15, 2022, the quiet town of Somerset Pond was shaken by a terrible tragedy. That Thursday, the local police received a 911 call from worried co-workers of 32-year-old Amberly Harris.
The reason for my call is we have an employee that has not reported to work in almost a week, and that's not like her. We've called, we've texted with no response, and it's just not like her. And I wanted to initiate a well check.
Officers immediately went to Amberly's apartment for a welfare check. But what they found was horrifying. Amberly was dead. Her body lay in her bedroom, and she had been shot point blank in the face with a shotgun. The most shocking part? The detectives knew who the killer was.
Wait a minute, is Amberly here? Amberly? She passed away?
The person who opened the door for police was the one responsible for her death. But why did he do it? What led to Amberly's tragic end? Hello and welcome back. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe and click the notification bell to stay updated. In today's episode, we're diving into the disturbing murder of Amberly Harris. Without further ado, let's get started. Independence, a small city just 15 minutes south of Cincinnati, Ohio, is home to around 28,000 residents. It's known for its close-knit, friendly community. With low crime rates and a strong police presence, Independence is considered a safe place to live. Many families choose to settle there, hoping for a peaceful life. Amberly Harris was one of them. Amberly Nicole Harris was born on September 7, 1990, to Tammy and Daryl Harris in Rowan County, North Carolina. She grew up with her 4 siblings, Jessica, Alyssa, Wesley, and Brandon. Those who knew Amberly described her as a free spirit with a kind heart, who was deeply loved by her family, friends, and co-workers. Amberly was also a devoted mother to 3 children. 2 boys, Jojo and Hunter, from a relationship with a man named Jones, and a daughter, Michaela, from her time with a man named Strand. Amberly loved spending time with her kids, especially at the beach. She also adored animals and had many pets. Amberly always had a smile, but her life wasn't without struggles. In her late 20s, Amberly faced a tough battle with substance abuse. Determined to turn her life around for the sake of her children, she fought hard and eventually overcame her addiction. By the time she turned 30, she was ready for a fresh start. Amberly decided to move from Mooresville, North Carolina, to Independence, Kentucky. It was a major change, with no family or friends nearby, but she had secured a job at Bluegrass Quality Meats, a food production company. She was excited to start her new role in production and quality assurance. However, work wasn't the only reason she moved. There was also a man, Tommy Joe Powell. Amberly and Tommy lived together in a complex on Beech Grove Drive. She loved him deeply, but their relationship was far from perfect. Tommy was Amberly's on-again, off-again boyfriend for the 2 years she spent in Independence. Some neighbors saw him as friendly and outgoing, while others thought he was quiet and strange. In the beginning, the fights between Amberly and Tommy seemed normal. Every couple argues. But soon, things took a darker turn. Tommy's anger started to spiral, and their arguments became violent. As time passed, their fights often ended with physical abuse. Neighbors could hear the shouting late at night, and Amberly's love for Tommy slowly turned into fear. At work, she confided in her coworkers, admitting she was scared to go home. Many offered her a place to stay, but Amberly knew she couldn't rely on them forever. Despite their concerns, she always went back to Tommy. In secret, she started recording videos of the abuse and sending them to her mother in North Carolina.
You want to come in here and knock me in the back of my head again?
Oh, yeah, what? Is that what your boyfriend thinks?
I don't have another boyfriend.
Get the fuck out of my house.
I'm good. Oh, and do you want to threaten to throw the puppy out again, too? Do you want to beat on her, too?
Yeah, I know she's my fault.
That's not what I heard you doing this morning.
Why don't you get the fuck out, you little lazy ass bitch?
I'm not lazy. I'm about to go to work.
Well, you know
Who's
what?
laid out of work
You know
because
what?
they... Don't burn I've about had enough of that
Here we go, mother. Go on. Hold up, please.
Ow!
Her family pleaded with her to leave and seek safety in a shelter, but Amberly feared that if she left, Tommy would come after her. Everything came to a head on November 20th, 2021. Tommy, furious over Amberly's social media use, lashed out. The argument turned violent. He struck her in the face and choked her until she nearly blacked out. Desperate and terrified, Amberly managed to escape. Barefoot and shaken, she ran straight to the Independence Police Department. When officers saw her injuries, bruises and abrasions covering her face, neck, and chest, they filed a complaint against Tommy. Tommy was charged with first-degree strangulation, a crime that could have put him behind bars for 5 to 10 years. But when it was Amberly's turn to testify against him, fear held her back, and she said nothing. Without her cooperation, prosecutors were forced to reduce the charge to a lesser offense, 4th-degree domestic violence assault. Instead of serving prison time, Tommy took a plea deal. He was sentenced to probation, ordered to attend anger management and domestic violence treatment programs, but he never showed up for any of them. Despite everything, Amberly still cared for Tommy. A part of her believed he could change. She reassured herself that since he was on probation, he wouldn't risk getting into trouble again. They continued living together for another 7 months after the attack. Although they still argued, the violence never escalated to the same level. At least, not right away. December came quickly, and Amberly, who loved Christmas, wasted no time decorating their apartment with a tree. On December 10th, 2022, she called her family in North Carolina, sharing her plans to come home for the holidays. Wanting to surprise her mother, she worked out all the details with her sister and brother-in-law. Before ending the call, she reminded them to keep it a secret. Amberly couldn't wait to see her mom's reaction and was looking forward to spending Christmas with her entire family. By December 15th, 2022, worry had spread among her co-workers at Bluegrass Quality Meats in Erlanger, Kentucky. Amberly hadn't shown up for work in days. However, she had always been punctual and responsible, never missing a shift without calling in advance. As the hours passed that Thursday morning and she still hadn't arrived, concern grew. By 2 p.m., her employer called Independence Police Department asking for a welfare check at her apartment.
The reason for my call is we have an employee that has not reported to work in almost a week. I wanted to initiate a well check.
Independence police officers quickly headed to Amberly's apartment in the 4600 block of Beech Grove Drive. At around 2:57 p.m., officers knocked on the door, and what happened next shocked them to the core.
What? You did what?
I can't hear you.
I shot her.
Okay, hold on, come here.
Where is she?
Here, put your hand in my mouth.
Where is she?
Watch inside, Brady.
Stunned by the sudden confession, officers immediately handcuffed Tommy and rushed inside. As they moved carefully through the apartment, they shouted, "Police, make yourself known." Then they found her. Amberly's lifeless body was in the master bedroom, wedged between the bed and the wall. She had been shot in the head at close range. The officers called for backup and quickly secured the scene. Amberly's Christmas plans, her excitement, and her future were all tragically stolen in a moment of senseless violence. While an officer read Tommy his Miranda rights outside, detectives inside the apartment were already forming a grim suspicion. Amberly's body showed signs that she hadn't been killed recently. To confirm their fears, they asked Tommy when he had shot her.
When did all this just happen?
Monday morning, Sunday.
Monday morning.
The detectives stood in stunned silence as Tommy muttered Sunday morning. That meant Amberly had been dead for nearly 3 days, and during that time, Tommy had stayed in the apartment, sleeping, eating, and going about his daily routine with her lifeless body just a few feet away. It was hard to believe. The officers found a gun in plain sight inside the apartment and immediately suspected it was the murder weapon. One officer radioed, "We've got a firearm here. Possible murder weapon located." While 2 officers returned inside to collect evidence, Tommy was led to the police car. They gently asked if the handcuffs were too tight or if he needed medical attention. Tommy just shook his head weakly. When asked what had happened, he said,
We're fighting. He's trashing my shit again.
When were you guys fighting?
Sunday morning.
Sunday morning? What started the fight?
Trashing my shit.
What was it? What was it?
She was selling my TV and stuff.
Okay. And then what happened?
Lost control.
You what now?
I lost control.
Lost control? What made you lose control? Are you okay? So when you say you lost control, what do you mean? What'd you shoot at?
19
20 gauge?
Go ahead.
Alright, so it was a shotgun you shot her with?
As the questioning continued, it became clear that Tommy was in shock. His responses were disjointed and confused. The officer tried a different approach.
Do you know what month it is? Who's the president?
Tommy's vacant stare and mumbling made it clear he was still reeling from what he had done. Despite his confusion, one fact remained. He had spent days living with Amberly's body without calling for help. The officers knew an autopsy would provide more answers, but for now, the truth was already horrifying enough. A few minutes after Tommy was taken to the police car, reinforcements arrived at the scene. With more officers and detectives on site, they prepared to conduct a thorough search of the apartment. However, before they could proceed, they needed Tommy's verbal consent to search the entire house as per protocol. One officer turned on his body camera and asked Tommy, "Do we have your permission to search the house?" After obtaining his consent, the officers split up, some staying behind to secure the scene, while another officer transported Tommy to the Independence police station for further questioning. Inside the apartment, the officers carefully assessed the scene. One officer reported, "She's down between the bed and the wall. Her face is covered and there's blood spatter on the walls. We got rigor mortis. We're not moving anything until forensics arrive." The bedroom was examined in detail. A television lay on the floor, possibly knocked off a shelf during a struggle. "It doesn't look like it's destroyed, just displaced," an officer noted. Attention then turned to the apartment door. "It looks like it was kicked off the hinges." Scattered across the floor were pills and other items. As the investigation continued, the team worked methodically, ensuring nothing was overlooked. The evidence they gathered would soon paint a clearer picture of the tragic events that unfolded inside Amberly's apartment. Tommy arrived at the Independence police station at exactly 3:31 p.m. and was taken in for questioning while officers continued searching his apartment. At first, Tommy mumbled, "I don't know anything, man. I was just at home, hanging out." Then he sighed and admitted, "I shot my girlfriend." As the questioning continued, Tommy suddenly became nauseous and threw up.
What have you had?
Is it like a stomach bug, Tommy, or do you got the flu? What's going on, bud? Talk to me. COVID? Okay.
Oh, so you haven't been to the doctor?
Tommy's condition worsened, and paramedics were called to check on him. They ran some quick tests and determined that he needed medical attention. But before detectives let him leave, they took some quick photos of Tommy for their records. At around 5:05 p.m., Tommy was escorted to the hospital. The drive took about 26 minutes, and upon arrival, medical staff took over.
We can't leave. He's in our custody. Okay. Okay. He's been pretty forth. He's told us everything we need to know and everything's going on with him. He's been a good man. Yeah.
And so what brings you here, though?
Tommy remained quiet as the doctors examined him. After running several tests, they determined he was severely dehydrated and needed to stay in the hospital for treatment. Once stabilized, he would be transferred to the Kenton County Detention Center to face charges for Amberly's murder. With Tommy under close watch at the hospital, most of the officers returned to Somerset Pond to dig deeper into the case. They weren't convinced by his claim that he just lost control, and were determined to uncover the real reason behind Amberly's brutal murder. Their goal was to piece together what had happened in the days leading up to her tragic death. After the autopsy confirmed that Amberly had been murdered on the previous Sunday evening, Independence detectives ramped up their investigation. They spoke with every resident in the Somerset Pond neighborhood, hoping to uncover what drove Tommy to kill Amberly that night. Soon after, news of the murder spread, and reporters arrived at the scene, eager to gather information. The first person they spoke to was Mike Rottenberger, a maintenance manager who lived and worked at the apartment complex. Mike knew Tommy well, as they had worked together on various repair jobs. Mike said, "He was always a great guy, just funny, outgoing, likes to talk, lonely, decent guy. When I heard he's been arrested, it threw me for a loop. Room with this body for more than a day, that sounds a little unusual, that creeps me out a little bit. Now I'm starting to doubt some of the things that I know about some people out here." Next, the press interviewed Elisa Durham, another neighbor. Though she didn't know the couple personally, she had heard unusual noises from their apartment. She said, "I know that we heard like banging over the past weekend over there, but other than that, I didn't even know that it had happened, and our walls are pretty thin, so if it was loud arguing, we would have heard it, but we didn't hear any arguing, but there were loud noises." Another neighbor, Tammy Burchart, who lived much closer to the couple, revealed that he had a particularly unsettling conversation with Tommy before the murder. "Tommy told me he did something bad and might get in trouble for it. I asked him what he meant, but he just said he didn't know what to do about it." As the investigation continued, the pieces of Amberly's final days slowly began to take shape. Neighbors confirmed the couple frequently argued, but no one could explain why things escalated to murder that evening. The detectives kept asking themselves, what made that night different? Why did Tommy take such a drastic step? Then, a breakthrough came from Eagle Financial Services. In November, a $20,000 accidental death and dismemberment insurance policy had been taken out in Amberly's name. The sole beneficiary? Tommy Joe Powell. This discovery gave detectives a clear motive and solid evidence to build their case against him. Detectives pieced together the events leading to Amberly's tragic end. They believed that after taking out the insurance policy, Tommy had been planning the murder, waiting for the right moment to act. On the night of the murder, he had been drinking and deliberately picked a fight with Amberly over some random thing, the TV. He knew exactly how to push her buttons, and the argument quickly escalated. In a fit of rage, Tommy grabbed a shotgun and shot her in the face. Detectives suspected that Tommy had planned to collect the insurance money and disappear. But after pulling the trigger, he froze. He hadn't anticipated the horror and shock that followed. For days, he wandered around the apartment, paralyzed by fear and confusion, unable to figure out what to do with Amberly's body or how to cash in on the policy without raising suspicion. His hesitation eventually led to his downfall when the police showed up for a welfare check. As they built their case, detectives dug deeper into Tommy's past. Born on September 1, 1968, he had served in the Navy in his early 20s. After leaving the military, Tommy struggled with mental health issues and addiction, which eventually led him down a troubled path. His criminal record was extensive, with charges ranging from drug possession to drug paraphernalia and 2 domestic violence charges. The latter involved Amberly herself. On December 15, 2022, after being treated for dehydration, Tommy was formally arrested and booked into the Kenton County Detention Center. He was charged with murder in connection with domestic violence, a capital offense in Kentucky that could result in a sentence of 20 to 50 years or even life in prison. He was held on a $1 million bond as he awaited trial. Given Tommy's confession, the trial was swift. Kenton County Commonwealth Attorney Rob Sanders and Assistant Commonwealth Attorney Taylor Roof prosecuted the case. During the trial, Roof stated, "Tommy Joe Powell is a stereotypical example of why domestic violence is a deadly epidemic. His crimes escalated from assault to strangulation and then murder." Tommy did not contest the charges. Instead, through his attorney, he pleaded for leniency, citing his military service, struggles with mental illness, and addiction. He also wrote a letter to the Harris family, which his attorney read aloud in court. I wanted all of you to know how deeply sorry I am from the bottom of my heart and soul for what happened that night. My actions caused a very special lady to be taken from us. Amberly's sister and the rest of the Harris family were in the courtroom. They rejected his apology. Speaking to the press, Jessica shared the heartbreaking reality that their family couldn't even see Amberly one last time due to the horrific damage caused by Tommy's actions. Her pain was made worse, knowing that Amberly's 3 children were left without their mother. Both the prosecution and Amberly's family urged the judge to impose the maximum sentence, highlighting the brutality of the crime and the chilling evidence of the life insurance policy. On September 18, 2023, in Kenton County Circuit Court, Tommy Joe Powell was sentenced to life in prison. Even with the life sentence, Amberly's sister, Jessica, felt that nothing had truly changed for her family. Speaking to the press after the trial, she tearfully expressed her frustration. He gets to be there, he gets to breathe, he gets to be alive, he gets to eat, he gets to sleep. I have ashes at my house. With my sister. And Attorney Sanders still hopes the sentence will eventually bring closure to the Harris family and send a message to future abusers. He gave a statement to the press, saying he'll be approaching 80 years old. Despite the pain, Attorney Rob Sanders remained hopeful that the sentencing would provide some closure to the Harris family and serve as a warning to potential abusers. Sanders stated, "He will be approaching 80 years old before he's even eligible for parole, and we will be there to oppose his parole, whether it's me or someone else who takes my place 20 years down the road." Assistant Attorney Taylor Roof echoed similar sentiments in a press release, emphasizing the brutality of the crime. Tommy Powell shot Amberly in the head with a shotgun at close range, killing her in a scene so gruesome it looked like something out of a horror movie. Changes in our own policies? I don't. I know that any of those changes necessarily would have saved Miss Harris's life, but I know that I'm not going to take a chance on anything like this happening again. For Amberly's grieving family, the life sentence was the closest thing to justice. They traveled from different states to attend the final verdict, hoping their presence would send a message. Let this be a warning. If you take a life, you'll spend the rest of yours behind bars, just like Tommy Joe Powell. Amberly's death led to significant changes within the Kenton County Police Department. Many officers who worked on her case couldn't shake the feeling that she might still be alive, if they had pushed harder her to testify against Tommy when she first reported his abuse. In response, the department committed to taking a more proactive approach, promising to meet victims in person rather than relying on phone calls. Attorney Sanders acknowledged these changes, saying, "I can't say for certain that new policies would have saved Amberly, but I do know we're not going to risk another life like hers." In memory of Amberly, 2 monuments were placed outside the couple's apartment. One read, "May you find comfort in the arms of an angel." The other, "It's all part of the Master's plan, a step on the road to home." A celebration of Amberly's life was held on December 23, 2022, at the chapel of Cavan Cook Funeral Home in North Carolina. She left behind her loving family and 3 children, Jojo, Hunter, and Michaela, along with many aunts, uncles, nieces, and cousins who cherished her deeply. Amberly's story is a heartbreaking reminder of the dangers of domestic violence. Her case brought much-needed awareness to the issue, and one can only hope the changes inspired by her tragedy will protect others in similar situations. What do you think? Was the life sentence enough to bring justice to Amberly's family? Do you believe Tommy was truly remorseful? Share your thoughts with us in the comments. If you'd like us to cover more cases like this, drop your suggestions below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more true crime stories that need to be heard. Stay safe, and we'll see you next time.